Well, hello and welcome back to day two, the second part of our visibility and fundability workshop. Today, we're talking about visibility and momentum. And this is where we're really going to get you moving forward in being more public facing. We're really excited about getting some really actionable steps for you today. So hopefully things went well yesterday. So speaking of yesterday, yesterday on building your bridge and making that message so it becomes more clear and more specific on who your audience is. And that is so important because we want to really remove all that confusion and start moving towards momentum and traction. And so that when people can understand quickly how they can help you, where you're headed, then they can also see how they can look into their Rolodex and their resources and really connect you directly. And that's so amazing and so exciting when that's happened. I've gone through these activities several times, and when you really get clear and you use it for the first time, you're like, oh my God, it works. So I'm really excited for you to have that type of experience. So we're just going to look back quickly to the funding readiness checklist that you worked on yesterday. And I wanted to show you an example of the one that we were doing with our sample company. So here we have it. It's in your documents tab. So you go down to, you have the fundable readiness checklist, and that is yours. And then here's our example. I'm going to make that bigger for you. So we started out with, can you clearly identify your audience? And so we make adaptive swimwear for everyone who needs accessibility. So that was kind of too broad, but this is kind of where we started. So we gave ourselves some numbers here. Our proof, we have a 2, so we had only just started with our pilot. Our clarity, we gave ourselves a 1 because we were functional, but we were super vague on that. Visibility, we don't have any LinkedIn posts, no website updates, and few people even know about our company, but we've been talking about it a lot. And I think that's what a lot of startups do. We just talk, right? So we gave ourselves a 2 on that. And then our system, so we're really, really early, so we gave ourselves a 2 there. So it came out to an 11. And so it says, yeah, you got a great foundation and we just need to grow in these areas. And so just this helps you hopefully on an example, of that company that we've been going through. Okay, so now we're going to go to how do we make this better? And hopefully that GPT helped you. We got a number of texts and emails just saying that the GPT was great. So we're happy about that. And this is this whole nother platform that we're talking about how AI can be super helpful when you use it correctly. I'm just going to open this up just a little more. Okay, so here we go. So before we were kind of vague, we make adaptive swimwear for everyone who needs accessibility. And after we designed adaptive swimwear for female Paralympian athletes and sports organizations investing in accessibility. And so, yes, we give ourselves a 5. Then clarity, let's get a little more specific on that. We help female Paralympian athletes and organizations improve performance. So what's in it for them, right? And inclusion through smart adaptive swimwear technology. So give ourselves a 5 on that. And then I want to, open it up a little more here. Okay, so then we want our visibility. So we're saying we went in and we updated our LinkedIn. We put some content in there. We put some testimonial videos. We tagged those people. This is so important. We're going to talk about that too. I mean, you want to leverage how you are posting. So that's really important. And we got some coverage on some other sports and inclusion platforms. So really important there. All right. So hopefully that's helpful to you. And that's how we raised our score. All right. And then the next piece is the high impact positioning statement. I'm going to hand this over to Jordan. Jordan, welcome back.
Thank you. So glad to have everyone back. And, one of the things about, and maybe some of you are already feeling it, just from being able to use the tool yesterday, and then coming today and looking back and saying, wow, I feel like I'm getting it now. So going to go ahead and review the high impact positioning statement. Your idea is on one side and your audience is on the other side. So we really went in with that yesterday. The bridge is that clarity piece, and that is the messaging that we're going to review. We're going to actually review our high impact positioning statement that we worked on for our sample. And so one of the things that we talked about yesterday was, starting with your audience. And those of you who use the custom GPT went through this as well for your homework. So we help female Paralympian swimmers and sports organizations investing in accessibility. Then we went on to add that clarity. So what is it that we are trying to achieve, right? What is the result or the transformation that you're activating through your solution or method? So for us, we're improving performance and inclusion through smart adaptive swimwear technology. So then from there, we're taking it and combining into our high impact statement, which is that final version that we have when we are talking about our company. So you take your company name, and we're helping. What audience are we helping? So that's that specific audience that we talked about that we're keeping in mind. What is the result that you're achieving? And then through how. So that's your product or service. So our final one is Adapt Tech helps female Paralympian swimmers and sports organizations investing in accessibility improve performance and inclusion through smart adaptive swimwear technology. When you hear that, and some of you now from day 2, you're going to feel like, okay, that sounds very specific. So like May said, when you're having these conversations with your target audience, it allows them to be able to see themselves in what you are saying immediately. One of the things that we get questions a lot surrounding the positioning, because sometimes people still think, well, I feel like I'm still serving everyone, or there's this person that came to me and they think they would benefit from our product too, but it doesn't fit into that specific audience that I nailed in from yesterday. So what does that look like? When we think of positioning is singular, communication is flexible. So having this high impact positioning statement means that you are honing in on that one audience. But when you're communicating it to people, you are changing your language to be able to connect right in the moment. But this allows you to be able to have more clarity, so that when you are adapting or communicating it to different people that may be interested, it still has the clarity because you're still keeping that one audience in mind. So we wanted to really highlight that because we get a lot of questions surrounding that. Okay, so why visibility builds funding? Why is this important? Why does it matter? So when we look at visibility, one of the pieces that we're looking at is, credibility. So when you're activating, or people want to buy what it is that you have, or just even hear more about it, visibility isn't going viral, right? You don't have to go viral. You don't have to have a certain amount of followers in order to be visible. So it's about creating the signals that funders look for when they're deciding who to back for funding. Or if you have partners, right? They can immediately keep you in mind because of the fact that you have the credibility piece. So people trust what they can see. So when you're showing your work publicly, your progress, it could be your insights, maybe even your learning, or your thought process, you become credible because people see you as someone who is active. Maybe they like your thought process of how you're thinking about it, which could connect back to your audience. And you become someone that is a trusted voice, whether you have one follower or 1,000 followers. So the second piece is the momentum. Funders follow movement, right? Momentum is magnetic. right? Momentum may be what keeps you waking up every day to continue pursuing this service or the product that you have. So that's the same when we're talking about fundability. So every update, right? Every post, every small win you're sharing becomes a signal. So you're taking others along the journey. We get questions like, hey, well, I feel like I have to like have it all together before I start, sharing or whatnot. But it's exactly the opposite. Being able for funders to be able to track the movement, whether it's small or big, that is valuable, because they see that things are continuing to move forward, right? If you get on and post when that big win, whatever that looks like in your mind, happens, well, that may be the first experience that someone that wants to fund you has, and that hasn't allowed them to be able to follow along on that journey for them to for you to have that credibility or that momentum. So that's why that piece is important. When we look at the confidence, which is the next area, um, and I love this image that we picked because it's like it's that funding source. The man is looking through these binoculars and he's like, I'm trying to find you. Where are you? Right. So the confidence. So we're not just talking about the confidence that you may have as you grow, but we're also talking about the confidence that you are giving others that want to fund you. So visibility builds belief not only in you, but also in them. So when you're showing up consistently with your message, something powerful is starting to happen. Your confidence is growing, because there's a certain point, and May and I talk about this a lot, when, maybe in the early phases, you're like, maybe thinking about it, overthinking, and like, oh, should I post? Oh, no, maybe not yet. And then you may go through that a few times, but once you start doing those small things and posting, there gets to a point where you're like, hey, like this is where I'm at. Like this is, you can come along the journey, or you can watch from afar. So, it's a different, that confidence begins to grow in you, and it's also your audience's confidence in you because you're taking them along the journey and they're able to see like what it is that's happening and what you're building. So funders and partners are backing leaders who are communicating with clarity and conviction. So visibility helps you to really embody the leadership qualities people are drawn to. The fourth piece is proof. All right, so we have the other three. Now, what's the evidence to back it? So every story, evidence may not be, like you said, may not be the prototype. It may not be the finished product. It could be a sketch, right? It could be a story, a milestone. It could be a prototype as well. If you're further along, a testimony or a lesson, you're sharing proof in real time. And that becomes a trail of evidence. The more proof that you're showing, the safer you become to be able to be fundable. So those are some of the areas that when we talk about, why visibility builds fundability, those are the four areas that we look at. So the next one is, okay, modern visibility channels. Let's talk about 2025. So we like to say going where you're comfortable. There's a lot of different platforms, and some are not even reflected on this PowerPoint, but we picked the main one. So LinkedIn. Uh, when we think of LinkedIn, LinkedIn still remains the number one platform for funders, partners, and collaborators. Why? Because it's like an ecosystem that is sitting all right there together. So it's where credibility lives. If you want to be seen as a thought leader, a founder, these are the places to be able to show your work. And the other piece is it's also the place to be able to do all of those different things that we described in the previous slide. So it allows you to do the long form content, the professional momentum, the testimonials, all those different things, traction updates. So the other one is Facebook. So Facebook, we look at it as community and conversation, right? Facebook is still the strongest platform for groups, community building, let's see, peer engagement. If your audience is gathering in Facebook groups, those are golden because they are tailored to a specific topic or a specific audience, and this is where conversations start happening in real time. So it's great for parent groups or maybe disability communities or event engagement, so all different types of things. So that's what we think about with Facebook. The next one is TikTok. So fast growth and discovery. So TikTok is a great discovery engine. Especially when you have messaging that is clear. It's great for storytelling and those behind the scenes content. Maybe you're sharing quick tips or awareness and reach. Um, the other piece that we've seen clients use it in is idea testing. So that's another way as well. Instagram, brand story identity. So Instagram allows you to really like show the heart of your work. So the people, the missions, the different moments in between. So it's great for those visuals, the community building. If you're sharing a little bit more about your founder story, you may go a little bit deeper with that on Instagram. If you have those product demos, the reels are really big, so you're able to show maybe some more behind the scenes. But we always say go where you're comfortable, right? You don't have to be on all of them. If you look at May and I's social media channels, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You just have to go. I'm more active on LinkedIn. If you go to my Instagram, it yeah, it's quiet over there. If you go to TikTok, it's quiet, but that's why you have to just choose, but you have to choose and go all in on one to start because you have to start somewhere. Um, so go where what makes you comfortable. So that leads us into the next conversation. So we're going to take you behind the scenes of our LinkedIn profiles. So, like we said, the goal is not perfection, it's progress. May and I, we update ours, on an ongoing basis. So it's and that's where we allow you all too to invite you to have that mindset of like it doesn't just because you're updating it now doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It can shift. So we're going to take a quick look. We'll start with my LinkedIn and then we'll go to May's LinkedIn. All right, so if we look at,
Sorry, it's having some trouble loading. I don't know
no
why. Come
problem.
on.
So we'll
I'll
we'll
load
we'll
it
take a
up.
look at the banner first, and then we'll go through all of the different parts quickly, just so you all can see the behind the scenes. All right, so funny story. My profile picture I have not updated in 10 years. It's the same one I've had for 10 years. So so I haven't updated that part. So the banner at the very top, I chose to put like some of the credibility pieces, which I would call it, is like, maybe articles or places that I've been featured. So that's how I chose to do my banner. So the next piece is the headline, which is right underneath. And this is what I chose, the 23 trillion disability market growth. I talk a lot about that. That is, my audience. I have in here helping, startup scaling ventures and enterprises move faster, build credibility, and unlock opportunities. One of the other things I want to point out about the headline is the search. Sometimes when people search for things, there's keywords that are popping up from your headline that are tying into how they find you too. So I did want to point that out because sometimes when people search for, let's say, disability, if you have that keyword in there, it may pop up on your profile may pop up on their search results. So then if you go further down, you'll see there is contact info. There's a link. So the link is like takes you to where I talk about the 23 trillion disability market. People use different things. Maybe it's their website. It just depends on what you want to use. Then there's the followers and connections. So the followers is different from the connections. So the followers are people that may say, "Hey, oh, I like, you know, May's work. Let me follow along. Hey, I like Jordan's work. I just want to follow like all the information that she's sharing, or maybe articles." Those are not people that I've accepted, like have sent an invite, or I've sent an invite and we're connected. So the connections are people that you've actually added and are part of your network. But so that would be the difference. Um,
And I can't click on connections because I'm looking at her profile. And then when we
oh,
look at it and you're logged in as yourself, you'll see all these edit things. So I think on mine, let me see if I click over to mine. What I wanted
oh
to
yeah,
show you
thank
is
you.
that it's much more than 500 connections. But how can I show you that? And it's really important to like see that because your connections are the people that you like granularly decide who you're going to connect with. So I'm kind of showing you my page right now to show you that when it's your account, you can click on your connections and you can see them. And so mine are very specifically, I have a lot of speech language pathologists. I have a lot of people who are entrepreneurs in the disability space. And I'm sure Jordan has that also. But I'm sorry, there we go. So I have 3,000 connections, and those are people that I can now message. And so you really want to be thinking about that when you reach out to someone to make a connection. And then Jordan, do you know about like the different pricing platforms, pricing structures, like so if you pay for a higher level, then you can connect with more people, right?
Yes, and then there's the feature too after for when you're not paying for premium, you can add someone out of your network and message them. You have up to five. And then thereafter, you're not able to send those like messages if it's someone that's out of your network and you're trying to gain that connection and you're sending a quick message. Premium lets you do more. And I'm not sure the other areas, but that's one of the ones in terms of regarding adding a connection.
Premium is pricey. So I'm just going to say it is an investment, and I have done that. So there was a time when I was like, you know what, I'm going to beef up my LinkedIn and I'm going to pay for the premium. So I highly recommend that make a decision on which platform, and you have to have a LinkedIn. You have to. That's not an option. So at some point, saying that you're going to budget for the premium and put time into making your connections and reaching out to key people and building this your own algorithm is really what it is. And so I just want to make sure that I kind of popped in on that. Okay. Did you
Thank you
want? Yeah.
for sharing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's an important piece.
Okay, so now we can go down to here.
Yes. So the about. So this is where like all the different areas come together. This is how I structured mine. You'll see May's and its different structure, but essentially all the areas that we go through today, they will be reflected in some way within my about. And like I said, this changes. I've changed mine over the years, just based off of, different updates that have happened, or just even to make it read easier. So you can play around with it. The next area are services. So it's really another opportunity if someone is coming to you and saying, or they're looking at your profile and thinking, oh, I really need to find someone that does business consulting. If you have services there, they can request services through you and it will send you a link. So it's great to have that piece updated. Under features, featured, these are all, I do about three things that are featured, but you can pin different things. So it could be maybe a post you shared that shared about like a launch you had, or it could be like a valuable resource. I talk a lot about personal brand. This is from a conference that we did, but this also too takes your audience behind the scenes of different aspects. So it could be, like I said, an article, a newsletter, a LinkedIn newsletter, or it could even be like a post about something that is aligns with what it is that is important. So the activity that shows, this show is going to show any posts you have, like activity that and the engagements that you've had. It shows also to your comments. If for those of you who are already on LinkedIn, that is something too that shows up on other feeds. So if you're commenting, that's another way actually of engaging with audiences, because maybe you're commenting aligned with a topic that's valuable to you. People are getting your thought process through that. They're getting an understanding of, oh, I like the way, they're thinking about that. Because sometimes comments shows up on other people's feeds who could be potential buyers for you. So yeah, that's where all of that happens. The next area is experience. So it shows your role and what it is that you do in the company, and then this is another area where you can include links or feature different things for your portfolio. Essentially, like LinkedIn is a walking portfolio or a walking resume, because it allows you to be able to capture so many different things. Okay, and then education. This is great because sometimes I've had people reach out and be like, "Oh my gosh, you went to A&T undergrad." So, we may just connect, and that's nice because sometimes there are connections where people are wanting to be able to elevate the work that you do. So if you have it clear about what it is you do, maybe an alumni is like, "Hey, I know so and so. I would love to get you in front of them," because there are times where people will say like, "Hey, who is it that would be valuable to introduce you to?" And that's where the audience clarity comes in, because you're going to be so specific that they're able to just like send it quickly and someone gets it. Licenses. So I still keep my speech language pathology license active. So I have those there, and any certifications I have there reflected as well. Volunteering, there's places for volunteering as well. So if you are active in other organizations, that's another wonderful way to reflect what it is that you're doing in the community, things that you're passionate about. And let's see, skills. So these are the areas where people will sometimes endorse you for different areas. So those where we looked at services. So like market research, right? Maybe one of them. So someone may endorse me because maybe we worked on a project together. And they'll endorse you, and then it shows the different people who have endorsed you. So that's another way to build that credibility, as well as for people to really quickly capture your skill set. Recommendations. So it shows ones that I've given to people. People look at those too, like who you recommend, maybe, especially if they like your work, they're like, ooh, who else, may be valuable. And it's another way to kind of see your perspective. But people recommending you, think of it as like testimonials. So maybe clients that you've worked with are on LinkedIn, you can have them submit a recommendation based off of your experience. Publication. So if you've had articles or any type of work that you've published, you can reflect it here. So like we said, it's like it captures a whole bunch of different areas for someone to really just be able to interact with this before they even meet you. So honors and awards, if you've won any types of awards, you can reflect them here. It makes it easy to. Oh, you know what? The other thing that I forgot to tell you, you can actually download, right? Like if you need your LinkedIn, there's a way to be able to download too, your whole profile. So that's why it's nice too to have it updated, because if a company says, "Hey, I need your an overview of what you've done," you don't have to go and like recreate the will again. You already have it all reflected here. So it makes it really easy to be able to capture all of that and not have to do another document. And then the last area is organizations. So organizations that you may contribute your expertise to, or organizations that you may have, as well as this interest. This shows like what are my top the interests that I'm looking at, like what are newsletters that I follow. And sometimes people use that to see like, what is it that she's, reading or engaging in? Or they're using it, to kind of see like whatever it is, like to get more insight in terms of you. Okay, so that is the click area. So now I'm going to show May's so you can see May's. Let me make it bigger. Okay. All right, so I'm sharing my screen now and make sure. Can everyone see that okay? Okay.
All right. Okay, great. So I'm gonna make that bigger for me. Okay, so you can see mine is different from Jordan's, and we have different backgrounds and different ways of doing things, but and it's funny, I'm looking at my headline and I was like, maybe I should be a little richer with the keywords. And that's what we want you to be thinking. So in mine, right at the beginning, I want people to know my expertise is helping exceptional entrepreneurs and thought leaders reach more people in less time. So like hopefully that's like piques your curiosity, like, oh, cool, that's interesting. And so if you scroll down, we got same things. So the highlights, and we're just showing you how you can do this a little bit differently. I have my about section. And again, I have a lot of keywords in there, and I've used my clarity, my audience, right, to put that in there and showing them that I know, who I'm targeting. I put my services in there. So that's something like if they don't want to go to that section, I have it right in the about. You can keep scrolling down. I know there's the word like coaching is out there. And so I want to like show people that I don't just coach you, I get it done. So there's different ways for you to use this section as a bit of direct marketing because someone's reading it, you're talking right to them. And so then these are my services, and I have my keywords up there, and then we go down to featured. So the featured area is I take certain posts and I put them there. Like I want it to be posted in there so that when you come down to these are the first things that you're going to see. Scroll down a little bit more. One of the things that I highly recommend is that you watch your activity. And as Jordan said, things that you post and also commenting or reposting. That's another great one. You don't always have to be coming up with content. You can see something that I've posted or someone else in the industry posted, and you repost that with a bit of a comment. And then now you see it says 2 days underneath my name and my tagline. So if you're looking right at my picture, so it shows you I was doing something 2 days ago. And you look at the next one, it says 3 days ago. Some people, I'm not kidding, is like 1 year ago, 2 years ago, they created their profile and they never came back. So you want to show that you are active. Then we scroll down and you get to put in all of your experience and what you want it to show. This has actually been really great for us is that I have the podcast there and it says 7 years and 3 months. And so I'm telling people, like you put it in there the date you started, and I'm like, I've been doing the podcast for 8 years, and people are shocked because I think that was a very fly by night type of product that people come into and out of, and we are consistent. So that's gotten me credibility, right? And that's what we're looking for. And then I've got these other roles coming in here and keep going down. Education is big for me because I'm from Rutgers, New Jersey. And so a lot of people are like, New Jersey, but I'm actually based in Arizona. And so people get surprised. They're like, oh, I didn't know you went to Rutgers, and they'll see that on my LinkedIn. So that's really cool. And then being in ASU, the same thing is I'll have people in Arizona that say, oh, I didn't know you went to in-state college for your master's. So that's really neat. And then also shows my cross-country move that I went from New Jersey all the way to Arizona and ended up staying there. This is an interesting one for me. So you see that CCCSLP, which our speech pathologists have, and then right above it, Jordan, if you go a little bit, I do have a PMP, and that is a project management professional certification that I did on my own. And it's actually really credible and valued and recognized in the tech area. So it's now moving into like industries and event planning and things, but it really had its start in tech creation. And you can only get this if you go through this process online, and it links up with PMP. So I didn't like add that logo and things like that. It was able to pull it from the site because it's interfaced with LinkedIn. So if you have anything that's like that, you definitely want to get it with it's like a verified certification link. And so that just even that makes it more valuable. And then we've got the volunteering, and keep going down. We've got, so the skills, it's interesting. It says show 58 skills. I think Jordan had like 78. When you first start, you may be very broad. And I think I did. I was doing dysphagia and autism and right, Jordan, you're doing like a lot of like your clinical buzzwords. And then as I moved into different positions and different focuses, then I changed those words. But LinkedIn has this great algorithm that it goes out to all your people and it says, will you endorse May for dysphagia? Will you endorse May for mentoring? And so once you get into this whole algorithm and community of LinkedIn, you'll start seeing that for other people. And we highly recommend the give back, so you give it to them and it'll let them know like, oh, Mei Ling just endorsed you for, mentoring or whatever it is. And hopefully then they'll do that for you. So you have to have it set up so that people can then use it. If you build it, they will come. But then you also have to be a part of that ecosystem. And LinkedIn is just brilliant with this. So be really careful about the words that you pick, because those ones that get endorsed more are going to be the ones that show up more. So that's really interesting. I've seen that over the years. So like I did have more of like the clinical speech therapy ones that were showing up, and now I'm higher up on these on the executive consulting. All right, scrolling down. So recommendations, I go through like different phases where I'm like, oh, that's right, I need recommendations. So in 2023, I decided I needed to reach out, and I got a whole bunch of recommendations. So great. And I gave a couple too. And so I think that's good. It's been 2 years ago. I haven't changed too much, but you should be doing this often. And that link that says recommend Mei Ling, like you can just click on that and it sends it to someone else's LinkedIn. So I can send Jordan a request to do a recommendation for me. So it's pretty simple, so definitely do that, and do it for, the people that are going to respond quickly, so that you have a couple in there. Because as you can see, they only show two. So get two amazing ones, and, at least those show up. And then scrolling down, so my area is publication. So I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing is there. That one's my latest book. I also have 2 more books that just got published that I need to put in there that I've been a part of. So I contributed a chapter to both of them. So for me, I think that's just really important, even though I don't have a PhD. So I just want you to know that you do not have to represent publications or represent skills or represent things that that you think are like siloed. So like a speech therapist, I can't say that I'm really good in, let's say, accounting, or real estate. So that was another thing. I think I had real estate on there for a while because my husband and we do a lot of flipping and multifamily things and things that I never talk about here, but I want to put it in there just in case someone's looking through and maybe I'm doing something business wise and I just wanted it to show up. So just think about, out of the box things. And then going down, I was so excited when I had something to put in honors and awards, just so I feel like everybody else had stuff. And then organizations. So these are different groups that I'm a part of or that I've created. So founding members is so important. So just thinking, outside the box, you don't have to be a member, a belong member. You could be a founding member. And it's okay if these drop off. So I have 5 organizations. I have other ones that I'm not a part of anymore. And LinkedIn does a great job of letting you select, how the dates and everything, so you can show whether you're active or not. And then as Jordan showed, these are your interests. And so the people that I follow, I love Tony Robbins always yelling at me to be a better person, but the people I follow, all of that just kind of shows up. And I think it just shows up organically. I really believe it just starts pulling, from the people that you follow. So I just want to say, like, LinkedIn rewards you for being active and really wants you to be using, all of the bells and whistles that they established for you. Okay, that was great. Thank you, Jordan, for taking over for that moment for me. All right.
Oh, no problem.
Go back to sharing. Make this a little bit bigger. And so we're here to talk about your LinkedIn profile. You can always go back and look at mine and Jordan's as examples. and then just, helping you to refine yours. So let's get really specific here. This is what we're here for. We're talking about your headline. And I'm going to go into that document again just to show you is we are working now on your LinkedIn profile tool. We also have an example here. That's that company. I think we do. We have an example here of that. So we go here. This is what we've given you to be able to use to work on. So if you already have a LinkedIn profile, go ahead and put what you have in there and then have your after. And then we put this area here, the why it matters to help you to get more succinct. And again, you have that Chat GPT tool. If you haven't used that yet, we've gotten such great feedback. Please go in and try it. At least try it because it walks you through these steps and helps you to just get more and more succinct and more detailed on who you are serving and how you are serving them. And so these are the sections you're going to be working on. So I'll just go back quickly. So again, we have your headline, and then the next one, we are going to go into your about, which is juicier and thicker. And I'm just going to show Jordan's again. So if you go back to all the way up at the top, and we are really kind of going through, what the LinkedIn looks like. All right, here's Jordan's. And if you go down highlights, this is her about. I'm going to expand that. And you can see that she's taken up some space, and there is a limit on how much you can do. But I mean, you want to use it, definitely, because you don't know, people glaze over things. Some people read word for word. You don't know if they're going to get all the way down to the bottom. But this is where you want to be using a lot of those keywords in there and making sure that you are communicating to them the ones that you want. Like, we can't be something for everybody, right? So you want to really connect with the people you want to be connecting with. We'll go back here. Next one is your experience, okay? And again, this gives you a great formula. So you have action plus evidence and outcome and insight. Here's a great example. I conducted 20 plus interviews with adaptive athletes to identify core design needs. So these are examples of ways that you can be using that type of language, right? And so we're using that bridge analogy where you're taking that information and now you're moving them into the about and into the experience section. And you want to be raving about yourself, right? So any lessons that you've learned, any milestones that you've hit, you want to share this, that you're a founder who doesn't just talk, you build. And that all comes in how you're using your social media channels. And so I'm going to show LinkedIn, Jordan's again as a great example. So if we scroll down here, we have some experience in here, and then we have additional, we just keep scrolling down. Her activities are showing like what she's paying attention to, her posts. I don't think she has a post in here. So this is like her most recent. Here we go. She's talking about this session, and it is out here. So we also did mailing lists, but we also have a representation so that if you go to my social media, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and my Facebook, I think actually my Facebook doesn't, but my other two have this because I'm talking to business people, right? My Facebook is more, I think, closer, right? Facebook for me, I don't know what yours is, Jordan. Facebook for me is like the people that I know personally, my friends and family, people I went to high school with. And so I wasn't really like trying to sell this visibility and funding seminar or workshop to them, right? But I have it out here, and that's where you expect it to be. So when someone comes out and they say, oh, who's this Jordan? And they did. I had a couple people are like, who's Jordan? All of a sudden you got a new girl in town. And what did they do? They went to Jordan's LinkedIn and they were like, let me see, is it worth it? Who is this person? And so my credibility now is linked to Jordan's credibility. And so, she's co-posting this. So just, this is where you rave about yourself, right? And it's so important that you do not get shy here. And I'll tell you, I definitely had that imposter syndrome. Who am I to be an executive consultant? That was 5-6 years ago. And I started putting that out there. And I had, this whole, I had Jordan up on this platform. I'm so excited we're connected now, but I had her up there like, oh my God, Jordan's doing consulting. Like, I want to do it. And now I put it out there, and I had just opened shop as an executive consultant, but you got to do it, right? You got to say, of course you've been doing things. You've been mentoring, you've been guiding. And so, when someone comes here, they can see all of your work that you've been doing because you're sharing it. If you don't put it here, they're not going to know. So you have to really get deep and go back. And so you want to start this as soon as you can, because we are all high achievers and constantly doing things. And so the new stuff is going to, already start to take over the old stuff. But, there's some stuff here. She has this publication from 2021 that's 4 years ago, that doesn't mean she needs to hurry up and publish something else, but it's just showing you that she was active, back here. And that is so important that people see that, you've been on this journey for a while, and especially in your industry, right? So that gives you that credibility. And I think that's what, we keep trying to show you is you need to show this experience. And then we have the featured section, which I definitely put down there. So once you have something that is posted, then you can spotlight it. And that's everywhere. And so I'm not going to go into it now, but if you get on your Instagram, there's down the bottom, you can spotlight. There's like a different, maybe 5 or 7, I think 7 buttons now. You can spotlight your stories. And so what I do is each book has its own spotlight. And the AI training that I'm doing has its own spotlight, but you could pick your own verticals and people click on it and they're like, oh, there's her, like, that past 5 stories. And those can go back for a couple of years. So it's fantastic. And I just picked like 7 things that I put in there. Some people put products, every product is in a certain vertical. So when you start like wrapping your head around the power that these platforms have for you to really stand out and to spotlight yourself, you're going to love it. I think, for those of us who love organization, you're just like, oh my gosh, I could do that. This is amazing, right? Okay. And I'm sorry, Jordan, I took over your featured section. I'm so sorry. We
Oh
have our name.
no, this is good. No, I'm so glad you brought up. I believe the biggest point that you keep honing in on, which I'm really glad you are, because I had that experience too, is do not be shy about what it is you've done and what it is you have unlocked in your, all the experience over the years. Because, and if you are shy right now, think of people that have been talked about you, in spaces, and they're like, oh, I love what so and so does because this, and this, right? Because then you can use that energy until you get to a point where you are comfortable, but no one's going to know it behind the scenes. So I'm really glad that May, you brought that up because it is something that I too struggled with in the beginning of like, oh, I don't I was like, oh, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, right? But no, you need to, right? Because no one knows like about what it is you're doing behind the scenes or what you've enacted or the results.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
We have so much to talk to you about, and we only have like 10 more minutes here. So I'm going to give it up to Jordan and I'm going to be quiet.
Okay, so featured. This is, think of it as your flashlight over the bridge. So we talked about that. You can feature, you saw in May's images, you can do articles, right? But you having something, there is something that you potentially have, whether it is repurposing. May talk about that a lot with when you repost, you don't have to feel like you have to do different posts every time. You can take one of those posts and repurpose it into an article. You can take something from your blog and repurpose it into an article and let it sit, but have something. You can use the existing post, whatever it is, put something there, because it's highlighting your credibility, your progress, your story, and people can see it visibly when you're doing that. So, you can choose what you want to highlight there, but that will be important. All right. And then we have recommendations. So this is something we may not talk about much, but choose the right people to recommend you. And being selective about that is because, well, one, when thinking about recommendations, these are like your maybe collaborators, advisors, mentors, coaches. These are testimonials that you're going to be able to reuse, right? And so, yes, it is nice to have lots of people recommending you, right? I would love my mom to recommend me. I love my friends, but they may not have those metrics that I need for them to have because they have not worked on a project. So I'm talking specifically though, as it relates to, LinkedIn and products, because we want you to really think about the audience, the clarity piece, because when you provide that from maybe it's like an early collaborator or a partner or whoever it is, you also want to make the recommendation request easy, right? So on LinkedIn, you can click a button for them to, that's very streamlined. It sends it directly to them and you've already emailed them to let them know. If you want to, if you're doing it, let's say via messaging, um, some people do value like, hey, like, how do you want me to write this, right? Not because they don't know what you've done, but there may be a certain way. And if you're providing a structure, which is valuable because you want to get those metrics, right? You want to know what it is they unlocked in their words, not your words. So you providing some framework that connects back to what we've been talking about are like those proof, right? Because then once you have specific metrics from one of your partners, you're able to then use that and show other potential partners, right? And they may be able to resonate more with the metrics that your um, the person who was recommending provided than maybe the metrics that you're measuring that you think are valuable. So I would say that is another reason why these recommendations are valuable. Uh, and yeah, that would be it for that piece. So does anyone have any questions? We unpacked a lot, and the beauty of this is all recorded, so you can go back. But yeah, if you don't have any questions, we can go to our additional resources that we have for you.
Right. So I'm going to share again. This is the Google Doc. So if you come into here and you go down to funding resources, I'm going to open this up here. All right. So Jordan and I found some additional great and current funding resources for you. And so, Jordan, do you want to talk about this one? Is this one yours or mine?
That was one. Oh, I saw this. It came in my email. But this is still, I don't remember the exact date, but it's funding opportunity for next year. But just double check if you're applying for this that the deadline to submit everything is this year, right? Because the funding will be distributed next year. But it's non-dilutive funding. I'm not going to go into all of that, but when people think funding, they may think venture capital or things of that nature. But there's also non-dilutive funding, so it's not taking any equity. So yep, that's one of the resources. There's
Oops.
also Google Cloud for startups programs. Will cover up to 350,000 of those costs. We included links to all of these, so you all can go back and look on your time to be able to see which ones apply for your business. There's FedEx Entrepreneur Fund and Boost Camp programs, so they have an opportunity to receive 10,000 in grant funding.
That one's November 21st. So I'm just saying that because there's a
Good
time.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have all the information. Verizon
Y'all,
did.
and just don't be afraid to like submit. Like I remember one time I didn't feel like I was ready, but waiting to get ready doesn't get you closer. So just give it a try. Even if the deadline's coming, just because a lot of these you'll see they start having similar frameworks and questions and things like that, and you can save it in a document.
Exactly. And you can also use ChatGPT, create a project, put all your information about your company into it, and then you grab the application requirements, put it in there, and you actually tell it, help me to respond to these questions. And it's amazing. People have been using it for help with grant writing also. So Verizon has been really big with small businesses, new businesses. This is one that's specifically for 10,000, but I know that they have a couple other ones that are going on. This one ends December 10 of this year, 2025. So definitely look into that. And then this is the other one. They partnered with LISC and they're doing small business grants. So you just never know. And then we're back at the bottom of that. Okay. And then the other thing we want to tell you is there is a section that we kind of blitzed through, and I'm going to show you that here. Let me go back here. It is in your fundable readiness checklist. So we talked about area and your audience and proof, clarity, and visibility. What we did not really deep dive into is proof and visibility. And, oh, I'm sorry, visibility and systems. These are the two that we didn't deep dive into, right? Was that one, Jordan? I can't remember now. What is our two?
Oh, okay. So systems we didn't dive into.
Right.
Yes, you were correct.
And so we do have the next.
And yeah, and proof was the other one.
So the next series, the workshop series we're going to put together is proof and systems. And this is to help you get those pieces that you need. And so we have a wait list, and hopefully we're going to get that together next couple of weeks. We've got holidays coming up, but we'd love to pop this out. So please click on that and let us know if you want to join the wait list for that. And then the next step is joining the Exceptional Leaders Network with us. We would love for you to be a part of it. All of the members are getting this workshop for free, and the chat GPTs that we create for free. So everything that we do is already embedded in that membership, which right now is at $29 a month, which is pretty nominal for a business. And the value is priceless in terms of the networking and the connecting with other business owners like yourself who are in this specific niche. So, when you are pitching to investors and looking for investment, they are people who typically are not in our niche. They are people that have different giving buckets, and this might be the special needs bucket. Believe it or not, they really do. They have these different buckets: the medical bucket, the this bucket. And when you're working with people who get it, you don't have to work that hard. They're like, oh yeah, this is what you need. This is who I can connect you to, and it's immediate. And we've been having that type of success in our weekly meetings. And that's when we just get together, we share our needs, who we are, what is something that we can help with. And it's just been incredible how the community is supporting and surrounding each other and lifting each other up. So we hope you meet us there and then connect with us. If you're not already connected, you saw our LinkedIn, meet us there. You can connect with us there. And we want to celebrate with you. Let us know how all of this went for you. And it was helpful, just shoot us a message. We would love to know. And that's it for us. I want to thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much for being here.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, everyone.